Hello everybody and welcome to Talent Wing the Edge webinar with the wonderful Tudor Williams. What are we doing today, Tudor?
I haven't quite thought about that yet, Claire, but yeah, today we've got a fantastic line of a panel. Great to see everyone on board. Thank you guys for joining us. We've got people actually, just want to get this in, from the US, Canada, France, Bristol, Newport, all over. So it's good to see you.
Good. I love that. You must be up very early if you're joining us from America. So yeah, congratulations and well done. And we will try and make this worth you getting up early for.
Oh, Croatia, Singapore, doing good. Global, truly global. Sorry.
No, that's good. So we're talking about video today, and we're talking about how to use it to help your sales process, really, because we had a really successful webinar a couple of weeks ago, and everybody was so fascinated by the video side of it, and that this is the time to be using it, to be getting involved, learning about it. So we've got experts on the panel today. I did ask them all to send me a bio. Some were better than others at this. This is an interesting one. So maybe this is a service that we can be providing as a biography writing service. Nathan is going to be giving us a workshop in a minute, but he gave me a very short bio. So I think his workshop will explain what he does, but he's from Zanshin Films. He owns that. He's a really experienced cameraman, has worked for the BBC and all the big names, and is now running his own business filming for clients. So he's got a really unique perspective about videos. And Jack Cooke, who is about branding and about personal branding with video, and lots of really interesting points that you've raised in the past, Jack, about it's not about who you work for, your business or anything, it's about you. That's the selling point, because people are going to buy from you, whoever you work for. So that's where Jack's coming in on this. And moving all the bits and bobs around my computer screen. Hello, Andrew, who is 60 Seconds, and he's all about using video through paid content, aren't you? And that's that kind of way of using it, which is another aspect that we're all going to be considering. And of course, we also have, and I know you less well, David, you can unmute yourself. Tell me why where you are in this space.
Well, I sent you my bio.
I know. I was getting my hair done. It all came too late.
I run two video companies now for my sins. I never said I was going to do that again, but I recently launched another service this year, which is more focused around inbound video, and we historically run another company called Blinkback, which is for the last 5 or 6 years, which is more kind of outbound video. So and I'll maybe explain a little bit more about that later on, but I also specialize in LinkedIn and sort of a lot of social media sort of content as well. So we make campaign content, big brand campaign content, and social media content as well.
And your business is Remote Video Team.
Yeah, that's the one that we've launched this year, and Blinkback has been running for like 6 years now. So, yeah.
Cool. Very busy year, COVID, and starting new business.
Yeah, 1st of April I launched it.
Wow, really? April Fool's Day. No comment. Okay. So I'll get you all back in a bit, and we'll have this conversation about video as a prospecting tool and optimizing video content. But we'll start off with Nathan Lomax-Cooke, who's going to share tips now on how to sound, look, and communicate well to engage the audience, essentially, and get your message across clearly. So the rest of us will probably turn ourselves off, so to speak, and give you the screen, Nathan.
Great. Thank you very much, Claire. No PowerPoint from me today. It's not really my style, and hopefully I'll be engaging enough for you guys to get some good advice without the need for slides. So what I want to talk about is a little bit about me to start off with, just to set the context. Then we're going to talk a bit about why video is so hot at the moment. It's real hot intellectual property. A few sort of ideas about if you're creating your own content or if you're actually having it professionally made. There are a few things to consider at the start of production. Kind of a few examples, spoken examples of what a good business video looks like, because I think if you don't set that bar high and you don't know the kind of good things to aim towards, then you need a bit of help further down the line. And then a few tips for presentation and looking and sounding good on camera. So a bit about me, Nathan Lomax-Cooke from Zanshin Films. My business sort of focuses on making content that gets leads, sales, and solves business problems for organisations of all sizes. Some of the bigger clients we've had are the likes of the NHS, VMware, who are a big cloud computing and tech firm, And our newest clients are Bowmore Wealth Group, who are our asset managers and financial planners based in London and here in Bristol. Before I started Tangent Films 6 years ago, as Claire mentioned at the start there, I sort of had a career in the TV industry, filming, producing, researching on all different kinds of programs, the likes of BBC, Channel 4 and Discovery. The range of programs went from Escape to the Country, which is a daytime TV show here in the UK, which I believe Tudor saw a rerun of the other day and saw my name on at the end, which is quite funny. So that's one end of the scale, and then the other end of the scale is kind of drama reconstructions of, you know, battles and interviews with US Marines and everything. A big range of skills that I feel I can bring to, you know, corporate clients and add a bit of value from those experiences. So video at the moment, as we said, is really hot property and everyone's using it. You know, even though people are now back to work, we've still got Teams, we've got Zoom for keeping in touch with employees and with management and keeping your business running. We've been using WhatsApp and FaceTime to keep in touch with our family. And people are expecting more video at the moment just because it has become the norm. And your clients are expecting it as well, to be honest. So in terms of how I've kind of used video, how I've changed my video business with the start of COVID and the lockdown. So in early March, I was approached by a company to sort of, they needed to keep in touch with their clients during the lockdown. And we ended up doing something as simple as, you know, filming videos on phones, and then I would edit the footage, add graphics and everything. And that's a really good kind of entry level first step to making your own content. So when you are thinking of making your own content, if you're using your phone or your webcam, or you're getting a company to make it for you, I feel like the most important thing to think about is, why are you actually doing it? So there needs to be a really sound reason for making video content. Otherwise, unfortunately, it will kind of fall down if it doesn't have a strong purpose. And from my experience, I would put sort of the why of creating video into 3 categories. So with examples, there's PR and brand building, and Jack's going to talk a bit about your personal branding later on. But these kind of PR, brand building, good news stories, a good example is a data cabling company here in Bristol, and their core values, their ethos is all about being as green as possible and eventually going carbon neutral. And they bought a set of electric vehicles, and they just wanted to sort of promote that to their clients to show that they were serious about their values. And, you know, they weren't selling products, but they were just like, here's a good thing we're doing, here's a good PR story for them. Another category is educational type videos. So we worked with the NHS last year in producing a set of 3 videos which are aimed at patients, and the point of these videos, the why of these videos, is to basically reduce patient anxiety when they are coming in for heart surgery, which is probably one of the most important briefs that we've had as a company. And patients were given a leaflet before our videos that wasn't being read, and then they'd show up and not really know the process or all the different stuff they were going to see. But now having videos they can easily watch and consume before they come in has really helped. And then third category of why you should create video is what we're all here to talk about, and that is generating leads and sales and, you know, your prospecting. And some of the guys are going to touch on this a bit later on, but that's a really important category. And, you know, a recent example of that is something as simple as somebody making a video about their products. So quite literally sort of showing their wares, but it works, and it's what people are used to at the moment. So once you've sort of thought about why you're making a video, you need to really consider who it's aimed at. And, you know, a few things to consider with the who. So if you're in a kind of technical industry and you're putting a video out there, does the audience of your chosen social platform, more on this later from David probably, do they know all your trade jargon and all the trade terms, and are they going to understand some of the concepts you're thinking about? So depending on who you're aiming at, you may need to dumb your content down slightly. However, on the other hand, if you are aiming at your existing clients or a receptive audience, like my asset managers, they were making content just for their clients, so they could talk at length about complicated financial things that I understood enough to be able to edit, but as a layperson, I wouldn't really get a lot from that video, but it wasn't aimed at me. So it's really important one to think about there, who you're aiming your content at. And if it's the first time you're producing a video, either yourself or professionally filmed, then does the audience actually know you? So maybe a good place to start is just a 30-second introduction clip that, you know, you talk about yourself and your values and your business, and then you put that out there. And then the next clip is maybe a bit more salesy. But covered why, we covered who, and the kind of what does a good business video look and more importantly feel like. So even though we're talking about, you know, who's and why's, video is quite a subconscious medium. So you need to be careful with sort of your messaging and your presentation, but then just getting that good feel about it is really important, and that is what people will engage with. So you need to make a distinction if you are filming your own material on your phone, for example, that there is a social media video that you'll film whilst walking around Tesco. That's absolutely fine for that. But for a kind of a business context, you need to sort of sit down and really think carefully about what you're doing and your presentation, which I'll come on to in a bit. Probably keep quite a positive tone for your business videos. You're talking about yourself or your products or your brand, or your experiences. This is all good stuff. And you want to give people some useful information as well that they can really sort of buy into. And one thing that a lot of people forget actually is to have a call to action at the end. And a call to action is something as simple as, you know, give me a call to find out more about what I've just talked about. And a lot of people are putting really good content out on LinkedIn, so good tips and good advice, but they're not following it up in the video. So it's just like, here's some great knowledge, end of video. And you really sometimes do need to sort of spell it out to people, like get in touch to find out more. As Martin Baines, he's a sales trainer here in Bristol, and his whole thing is about making it easy for people to say yes to you. So having that call to action in your content is really important. Moving on to, presentation. So video, as I mentioned, is very subconscious, and people might not want to find out more about you or hear more about you if the quality of the video you put out is good, or if there are some weird technical things that you're doing. So I could talk about this for a month, but a few kind of really basic things to go through if you're filming yourself. So if you are going to film with your phone, keep it landscape, please, for LinkedIn. We're talking about this in a B2B environment. If you are going to use your phone, I would suggest you get one of these bad boys. So it's got a clamp here, so you can put it on your desk, and then you can have your phone in the cradle, and you need to make sure it's at your eye level as well, because just as a very, very crude example, so I think my setup now is pretty good. I'm looking at the camera, nothing weird going on with the heights, but that isn't really a very good look, and neither really is something like that as well. So we need to make sure that just these basics of essentially filming grammar are covered. So middle of the frame, look at the camera, and practice what you're saying as well. So I'm not really a natural presenter. I hope this has come across well. I practiced this 4 times before today, just staring at the camera, delivering my lines. And, you know, the likes of Claire are incredibly talented, years of practice, and they can just go straight to that presenter mode, which is really amazing to watch. But for us mere mortals, we do need to do a hell of a lot of practice just to try and get in that flow and look at the weird plastic lens that's in front of us. Coming back to the technical side, you need to think about your lighting as well. So I've gone for my kind of slightly fancy pants setup today, but if you've got something like a big window in your room, just make sure that that is in front of you and that the light is coming onto your face. You don't want to come out like a sort of weird pixelated shadowy blob. If the window is behind you, shining all that light into the camera, your camera is not going to know what to do with it, and it'll just look weird and people won't want to watch your video. If you have, like, a lot of people have these selfie lights for doing kind of Instagram videos or makeup tutorials. So if you've got one of those in your house, that's a really good basic light you can use just to light your face up so people can see your engaging, smiling face when you're delivering your video to your camera. In terms of audio, again, people need to be able to hear you really clearly. And there is a bit of a trade-off here with your kind of look. So I've got this stupid headset Britney mic thing on, but I feel like the trade-off with the look to having hopefully decent audio quality is worth doing. And if you're telling the story of your business to people, they need to be able to hear you clearly. Sounds obvious. Microphones or webcams aren't great. If you're using your phone and you're holding it all the way over here, that microphone isn't going to pick you up in the best way possible. So that's why we've got things like this, which is a £30 microphone from Amazon that you can clip onto your chest and have really nice audio quality. Think of your delivery, it's a bit like a sales meeting, really. So if we were meeting up face to face, I hopefully wouldn't rabbit on at you. I'd have a sort of slow, measured tone, and it would be quite considered. I've thought about what I'm going to say. I just want to deliver it in a pleasant as way as possible for you, so that you can understand what I'm talking about and what I'm trying to get from the call. You know, back to the subconscious thing. Bad audio is probably a pretty big turn off. If I'm watching a video and I can't hear the person, it's just going to go off straight away, and then all your hard work and scripting will unfortunately not pay off. So, you know, we've sort of decided why we're making a video, who we're going to aim it at, what a good video looks like, and then how we're going to present ourselves. So now we've filmed some great content. Say on your phone, for example, you made a 30-second clip saying, "Hi, I'm Nathan, this is my business. I'd love to chat more. If you're interested in video, give me a call," that kind of thing. So we need to think about where it goes next. And again, the guys are going to talk about this on the panel. They're more experts into kind of social media distribution than I am, but I would say that you absolutely need to do little and often to have the most impact. Some of the best jobs I've had, we've worked with clients over a long period of time, give them content on a regular basis. So you're hitting your target audience once a week with a nice video, which ties in conveniently enough into my offer that I have for you people here today. And, you know, working with me and my team, we are going to offer this, which is we'll put together 10 professionally filmed clips with you. We'll talk to you about what you want to film, how we're going to film it. So we'll film content for 10 clips, and then we'll give you those. So that's 2.5 months worth of professionally filmed and thought through video content to get you started for £500 plus VAT, which is a really good price to get you started. If you want to book a call with me, I'll pop a link in the chat, and then we can arrange time to talk. So that's it from me. I hope that was useful and thought-provoking. And if there are any questions, I'm all ears.
Hi there, thank you so much, Nathan. Anyone got any questions now? If not, you can wait until we do the panel in a moment. I haven't seen any questions yet. Everyone's been too busy introducing themselves, Nathan, so sorry about that. But what I thought it might be nice is to bring the other guys back now and give them a little bit of the bio that I didn't give them before because I accidentally closed everything in a total panic when I realized that we were live, and I hadn't realized that we were, so apologies for that. So if I can ask you to come back, Andrew, first of all, if you pop back up, turn all your camera and microphone back on. So Andrew is the founder of 60 Seconds. He helped businesses essentially, or helps them still, to harness the power of video by using what his essentially revolutionary video technology with paid social media campaigns. He's originally worked as a producer director at the BBC, and he trained underneath a BAFTA award-winning one, so he knows his stuff, and he's now just really keen to simplify the video creation process so that all businesses can actually start to really use video. Hi, Andrew. And Jack as well, Jack Cooke. So he is all, as I said before, about personality, storytelling, and building trust. So beyond the brand, which is what he does, helps personal and business brands in building an online audience that essentially will then trust and refer and buy through video content and so on. So that's where he's coming from. And David, I am trying to open yours, David, so that's interesting.
That's all right.
I'm just having a nightmare with tech today, so I do apologise for that.
That's fine.
But you, as you were saying to us before, you've got your second business now. So you founded, and that's all open now, brilliant. You founded your video production and marketing company Blinkback, as you said, 6 years ago, and now you've launched Remote Video Team to help entrepreneurs create more conversational and consistent video. So again, you're all in the same space, you're all sort of competing with each other, but you've all got a little different angle about what you're doing. So we've got a couple of questions that we got beforehand, so I'll wait for people to start sending stuff in. But essentially from everyone, even if they get the video sorted, they want to create really good content that fully engages their audiences. So where do they start? What would you say to that? I'll come to you if I may, Jack.
Where to start making video?
One is where to start making content almost. You know, you've got to get the ideas and stuff as well as even then getting it into video. So how do you get your content ideas?
Well, the easiest thing is, what are my customers asking? What are the questions that they want from me? Anytime I get a question, there is a great book on this. When I remember, I'll put it in the chat. But when your customers are always asking you questions, and sometimes you might think, well, they're just simple questions that everybody should know the answer to. Answer those questions, turn it into a bit of video, even put it into a blog or even small posts that you can put out on LinkedIn. But that is the first place I would look. But also talk about your company ethos. What do you engage with? What is your business about? Is it about being eco-friendly, or is it about engaging people and making them happy? Start there, talk about that, record it, and just play with it. See what works for you and your audience.
You're also really hot, aren't you, about being quite adventurous with it and just try new things, just go out and do it. I know when you were starting doing some of your videos on LinkedIn, I mean, obviously now you've achieved this goal of being LinkedIn famous, which I remember you jokingly said was once your goal. But it's just by putting yourself out there and just sharing stuff about you as well, isn't it?
Well, look, anybody that's seen my content would see I don't mind being a bit of a buffoon. When I was at school, I was a bit of a class clown, right? My content is about making people happy and laugh, but there's always a point to it. It's always customer focused. It's always on brand. So yeah, for me, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But as long as I'm not hurting anybody, then I'll know for next time not to do it. I'm not going out there having any sort of views about politics or situations or religion or anything like that. I'm just making the videos resonate with me, and I laugh at my own jokes. So when I make a video, if it makes me laugh, it's going out.
So, okay, thanks, Jack. So Andrew, yours is, what you do is a little bit different. So when you talk to clients, how do you tell them, which content they should be making that fully engages and excites the audience? I know your platform is about helping people do it themselves, but I'm sure people are asking you, how do I make the really engaging content?
Yeah, absolutely. So the main reason we built our platform is because when people post content on LinkedIn, they usually put a hyperlink in and it's got a pixelated logo, or they try and make something themselves and it's totally off brand. There's a real bugbear of mine. So we've made a simple platform for you to pick really professional images or video and then put your content over the top of it. Mm-hmm. Now everyone's kind of pieced a camera, and I think that's fantastic for your everyday LinkedIn posts. But where our clients will work with us is making sure that they get the results. So if they put this video out to 10,000 people, what can they expect to get back in terms of leads? How many leads do they make a sale? So we can confidently say it's going to cost you this to achieve your kind of revenue goals.
Okay, thank you. So David, with you, when you're doing yours and you're talking to your clients, what are you kind of saying to them about their content, how to make it engaging?
I suppose it's probably important to I touched on this at the beginning, but to kind of identify the difference between inbound and outbound, because you can use video in lots of different ways. And if you look at, I suppose outbound marketing is what we traditionally know as kind of advertising. So you're maybe creating one piece of high-end content, and you would probably work with a production company to do something like that, because there's a sort of high skill level in that, and then using that content to promote out through a paid campaign or through paid traffic. When you talk about inbound marketing, which is kind of mostly what we seem to be talking about here, then that's generally used in an organic way across social media platforms. And as Nathan pointed out at the beginning in his talk, when you're doing that, you need to make it regular and consistent. So, I mean, the reason why you make it regular and consistent is firstly because the whole process is about staying front of mind. And secondly, because social media only shows your content to a small amount of your followers. So if you only make one video and put it up there, you'll only reach 10% of your audience. So if you keep doing that over and over and over, then you're reaching lots of people. Now, obviously, money comes into that, budget comes into that. You can't be spending $3,000 on every video you do. So that type of content tends to be more homemade, more kind of lower cost. It sounds like Nathan's putting together services that kind of look at that in a bulk way. That's what Remote Video Team does as well. I think a lot of video companies are now looking at how you generate or help people generate content in a regular way, ongoing, as opposed to maybe the sort of more campaign, sort of big budget stuff that maybe historically video companies have done.
Yeah, which is a really big investment, isn't it, that people have had to make, and then they need to really know how to repurpose it and keep using it and get literally the best ROI from that really expensive asset that they bought.
I would say
people like, you know, people like Nathan in the past. Yeah.
It probably actually works out about the same over the long run, because, you know, if you do it yourself, you're probably still going to spend a few grand on kit, or your time. You've got to consider that your time making your own content takes time, and if your time is worth money, which it is, you've got to factor that in. So it's not necessarily a free way of doing it. It's just a different way of doing it.
No, of course. When I was saying that, I know Nathan and I worked on similar productions in the past where clients would pay an awful lot of money for amazing video footage, but then they weren't using it again and again and again. They weren't using it to promote themselves because they didn't know. And I think the space is now really opening up. If you have got amazing stuff, you can keep reusing it. And if you've used Jack or anybody on the call to help you film amazing stuff, it's really important to know how to keep getting the most money out of it. We've got a question from the audience here. So Jamie Fluke has asked, what are the panel's thoughts on video casting, video podcasting? What do you guys think about that? I might come to you, Nathan, because you didn't get an answer on the last one.
Thanks. Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I know that the likes of Joe Rogan, they film their podcasts, and it's another way of just getting more value out of one piece of content. So we've done this with clients as well. It's, you have a podcast set up with your nice mics, your mixer, you get the audio file, but then if you're filming it as well, you can then have another piece of content, which is the whole chat, 2 cameras. You can then cut that chat down into different snippets, different conversation topics and things like that. You could do that with the audio and the video. So what you're saying there about maximizing your return on value, your value on the return is huge. You could get, you know, out of an hour's podcast, I think we got something like 20 bits of content once, and then you look at the bill and divide that by 20 and then figure out how many leads and conversions you need to get. And it becomes a really effective way of just, like I said, squeezing every last drop of value out of the production process and putting it out on your social media platforms.
And also, you know, I think that whole conversations everybody's been having is how important video is when people are scrolling through social media, and you are more likely to stop at a good piece of video and have a look at that than you are at something that says, please listen to my half-hour podcast. You know, it just, even when they've just done the little clip of the sound radio waves going, you know, and then you've had a little clip of what they're saying, that so much more grabs your attention than, you know, however gorgeous and amazing the podcast is. You haven't got long, have you, Andy? Andrew, you've got 60 seconds. So you're clearly going to love video casting.
Yeah, you've got 1 to 3 seconds to capture someone's attention. So you've got to do scroll swapping content. You've got to do something that really captures their attention. Otherwise, they're going to scroll straight past. People are scrolling to the next video, and if they don't see that content they want in the first 3 seconds, they'll be gone.
Yeah. Yeah. And I say that as someone in radio, so I know, I mean, I love radio, but it's just not as sexy on social media to grab your attention, is it? And Jack, I'm sure you all agree with that.
About sort of catching people.
Well, with video casting and podcasting.
Yeah, with video casting, I think Nathan summed it up really. Repurpose all your content, because it goes like with what David was saying, is you've got a certain amount of time, and if you're going to spend an hour recording content or recording your webinar, we can take this webinar today and distribute it into so many different pieces of content. But yeah, absolutely. And it's hugely important. But certainly, yeah, when you're putting it out to the news feeds, for me, you build that audience, that David was saying. And then when you do have a podcast, a 30-minute podcast, I mean, there's probably plenty of people here that listen to Gary Vaynerchuk because he's just everywhere. And his podcast is, you've got so much content that people head into his podcast after watching the video. It's massively important. Yeah. And I think to get, you get people everywhere, everywhere there's a bit of content put out there.
Yeah, it's true, maximize it. David, do you have a point on this?
on video podcasting? Yeah, I mean, they're all very kind of little different subtle versions of similar things. You know, you could talk about live video in the same breath. Video podcastings, I mean, I actually kind of prefer podcasting in the sense that if you've got long form kind of conversation, sometimes it's easy to listen to it in the car or something like that. Yeah. But video is such a rich format that you can take the audio from the video podcast and turn it into an audio podcast. So actually starting with the video is probably the richest way of kind of moving forward from there into lots of different ways. So yeah, it's repurposing again, like everyone said.
Okay, no, it's true, isn't it? Because there is that loveliness of podcasts, but it is just, you just want to get enough people listening though. You need the ears to listen. So you need to use the video to get them to listen almost. And that's where you guys, so there's lots of comments. People are having all sorts of geeky conversations on here about, I love it. Even Tudor said, I can't seem to find any good editing software for the PC, which is something you never thought to hear Tudor say. So it is a conversation. People want to know what's the best editing systems to use when you're doing it yourselves. We're going right in the weeds here, but it's what people want to know.
Well, Premiere is kind of a pro-end approach, and it's quite tricky to get your head around it if you just want to do quick stuff. Someone has just mentioned Adobe Rush, which is its little baby brother. I literally did a video on LinkedIn last week about that, and I've got a 20-minute free editing tutorial on our site, which you can go and access. I think that's remotevideoteam.com/rush, which is fairly easy to remember. And yeah, that's good. I mean, there's lots of simpler applications now, which are good, which you don't get too waylaid with all the different kind of buttons and sort of options and things like that. Essentially, for content online, you just want to be able to trim the beginning and the end and maybe put a title on it. You don't need much more than that, really. But it is good to edit your stuff, because I see a lot of people try and do social media videos in one take, and quite often that's a bit of a recipe for waffle and like stuff that's too long. So yeah, editing. I think
it's when you add captions to it and you just think, what am I whittering on about, when you've actually had to listen to it again. My favourite is like when you don't have the trim and you see everyone turn on the camera and then sit back and plump themselves up and then and then turn it off at the end, and it's like, it's trim, guys. Even I can do it, and that's that's showing how simple it is. So Jack, you just shared that lovely book that you're talking about starting to make content. That's a great idea.
Everybody check that out. That guy did really well, and the story behind what he achieved with his pool company is unbelievable. So check it out.
With his pool company, what, like swimming pools?
Yes, yeah. So read it. Everybody will enjoy it.
Tell you what, I wish I'd gone into hot tubs at the beginning of this. That's where the money is at the moment. Anyway, changing the subject. How can people then quickly get a massive boost with their prospecting hit rate? So we know we've talked about video, but what can they do? I think if people haven't seen it yet, what's the most impressive thing that you can do with video and prospecting? I'll come to you, David.
Well, it's really quick to just pull your phone out of your pocket and start trying stuff. And I think maybe Jack said that at the beginning, that the thing about creating your own content is it is a bit of an experimental process, and nobody really knows what's going to be a hit and what's not. Even the people who look like they really know what they're doing, if you look at their stats, you'll find that 50% of their stuff is good, some of it's crap, some of it's sales, and you can't really predict that until you've started to do it for a while. And actually what you're doing is you're learning in that process what your audience responds to. And if you track your content and the response to your content effectively, what you're effectively learning is what people are interested in. And that's a really, really valuable from a kind of position from a sales perspective, is that you're actually essentially doing audience research while you're doing it, because you can, if you look at what people are responding to, you get that sense of what they're interested in, and then you can create products and services to fit that. So if you're not tracking the results from your content properly, you're kind of missing out a little bit. So, but the quality of it is one thing, but it shouldn't be a barrier for you to start, because you can start with a mobile phone in your pocket. But it is, there's a barrier there in terms of confidence that you just have to try. I sometimes tell people to film some stuff and then just don't publish it. Just keep it on their drive, go back to it a week later, have a look at it, see how you feel about it. Because pressing the record button can be a little bit intimidating sometimes, but it's a learning curve like anything. You have to be out of your comfort zone for some things in your business.
Yeah, and I think I always tell people to kindly look at yourself kindly when you look back at it, because you'll criticize everything about yourself, but actually think, if you were going to give this feedback to another person, when you were going to give them a sort of nice bullshit sandwich, so to speak, sorry, but I started the Anglo-Saxon early, you would be much nicer to that person. So talk to yourself that way, and actually you'll find that video is fine and it can go out. But I know that, a lot of us have been doing the video stuff organically, and I know people like you and Andrew, you are hot on, you can measure this stuff, you can really boost your prospecting really quickly and prove it and see that, can't you?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you're on your own organic social media channel, you rely on the connections that you've built up. And let's say on average we have about 5,000 LinkedIn connections. You're constantly warming up that same 5,000 people. What paid advertising allows you to do is take it far past your audience and do the same, but warm up new prospects that you've never spoken to. So going back to your question, how do I make a big impact from prospecting? If you pay to use the social media channels, you unlock a whole level of analytics that you just don't get access to on the front end. And the big power of video is you can track just how engaged each viewer is. Like, do they watch 3 seconds, 30 seconds, or the entire video? You can then use that data to then retarget that engaged viewer with subsequent pieces of content. And if you take that into the B2B buyer cycle, you've got 6 to 11 touch points that you need to deliver to someone before they come on your website, they trust you, and then they inquire. So if you want to really put your prospecting on steroids, paid advertising is the way to go, but you've really got to look at your analytics, your click-through rate, your cost per thousand, how many impressions for the money you get, and how much a lead costs you, to see if it's a scalable acquisition strategy.
Okay, this is when you get into the serious stuff, and I know I'm always listening to Andrew, and I'm like, got to do that next, got to do that next, got to make that investment. Where are you on all of this, Jack? Because you're coming from a different sort of part of the triangle, so to speak.
Yeah, for me,
how do you measure it?
Yeah, for me, it's for me, it's always about sales. Like what's coming through, what's the referral rates that I'm getting? Are people hiring me? Are people getting in touch? Are people talking about my content? Am I getting inquiries? Which, for me, it's the biggest measure of it all. There are other ways, in terms of website visits. So how are you using your video content to get people through? So you've got to look at your Google Analytics, and you've got things like BuzzSumo. And basically who is reading your blogs, who's reading the next step, who's going to the next page that you want to take them to, or who's buying your product. Whilst Andrew, he's got his this great thing going on. Like, go to Andrew for all of that, because I'm not about Facebook ads. There's other people much more talented than me about that. But in terms of analytics, that's where I would look. It's basically, at the end of the day, is the money in your business bank account. People actually buying your products. If they're not, you've got to look at what's going wrong. But in terms of doing video, you've got to look at what video is actually driving people to those sales and website clicks.
Okay, thank you.
Since we're talking about analytics, there's a tool for LinkedIn called Shield, which is, I think, about £80 for the year or something. It's not too much. And that gives you some insight into your LinkedIn posts and the engagement on your LinkedIn posts. So if you're going to getting serious or starting to, rank up your LinkedIn stuff, go and have a look at Shield.
Okay, thank you. That's really useful tip. Nathan, and you gave us a clue with some of the stuff you were talking about in your little mini workshop, but so exciting what you can do with video and prospecting. I suppose if somebody's like, I want to do something quickly now, what could they do beyond just getting a video out?
I think like sort of Andy's touched on this with like the super analytics and stuff, but the thing that using video in your prospect can really help with is those of us who are members of a certain networking group will know all about the kind of know, like, trust buying cycle thing. And just putting a bit of content out like every week or so will help you get to that kind of know and like stage very quickly. So something you could just go and do after this, like you said, be kind to yourself, but just a little intro video on your phone if you've never put content out before, and say who you are and what you're about, and put that out there. See the click rate, see who watches it. But it is really easy to get started, and a lot of people are at the moment just going for it. So I think it's really good to have a go.
And also, if you only get a few views the first time, it doesn't mean you're rubbish. No. Just keep going.
Yeah.
And you then have really weird things when people contact you and want to work with you, and they behave like they know you, as if you're famous or something. And you don't know them, and you're thinking, have I met them? Have I met them? No, I haven't. But they've just been seeing you every day on LinkedIn, and they think they know you, and it's like some really embarrassing moments when I've thought I must know them and I don't.
That's
how
good.
great is that?
I'm hardly famous. I'm hardly famous, but it's like you feel like when you see someone from EastEnders and you think, do I know them? Do they work in Tesco's or it's that familiarity.
One of the most powerful things about it is that, and we're talking about sales prospecting, is that when you create regular content like that, you are effectively already halfway through the sales meeting when you first speak to them. So they've been listening to you ongoing over a period of time. You've answered heaps of their questions already. So traditional sales meetings, I always used to like, I'm not a really big fan of them, because I always feel like I've got to try and get so much in to this short space of time to convince somebody that what I've got is going to be suitable for them, or to find out about what they need and all that kind of stuff. So, but when you get to that point where somebody is contacting you for the first time, they're actually the relationship's already started, even though you don't know it. And some of the best clients we've had have come through the content we've produced, because they don't want to work with other people. There's a sort of a loyalty there before we've even started. So other calls, I mean, I'll get a call from somebody who's just out looking for a video, who've like seen us on the website, and they've been told to get 3 quotes, and they'll have looked at 5 minutes of stuff on the website, and then I've got to write a really long proposal, so that I try and convince them in a proposal, which takes ages, and half the time they just go with someone else because it's based on price, and all of that's really hard. And the stuff that's come to us through the content we've created they've been loyal clients. We work really well together, and there's been much less haggling over price as well, which is nice. Everyone wants that. So
it's really interesting. You've warmed them up, as you say. They've become your friend, and they like you. So you don't have to do all that really like sell discovery call stuff. So this is a nicer form of sales, not only for the people who you're selling to, but for you don't have to do so much of the icky side of sales. You can just deliver. And also, there's a large part of what video does that I've heard is it does attract and repel, because some people will watch your videos and think, who on earth is that idiot? Turn them off. But then you don't want to work with them anyway. So that's almost better. So if your video is not going to make everyone happy, that's probably a good thing.
It's qualified the lead for you before you even spoke to them, and potentially saved you all that hassle, like you said, doing the icky stuff and deciding that you don't want to work with them.
So someone I think someone commented they didn't like your background there, Nathan. So fine, they didn't like it. That's not for them. But then somebody else went, love it. Tudor's like, how can I look as cool as that? You look like Danny Zuko on Grease. And I know Tudor's thinking, that's it. He's laughing in the background. But that's what he wants. He loved it. So everyone's going to like different things about your video, aren't they?
Yeah, you're never going to please everyone. And even if you do create that perfect piece of content that goes viral, you're going to have more people hating on that video than ever before. So that there's no winner. You kind of just got to think, I don't care what people think. And once you have that mentality, you just keep going. And it's the real blocker to start off with is, I need to create this perfect piece of content. I need it to look like this. I need it to sound like this. But actually, it's just get that content, get that message out there in the best way you can. But don't worry too much about it, and then build upon that presence. LinkedIn is a post as much as you can, little and often, like Nathan said, and then you'll get LinkedIn famous like the Jack Cookes and the Clare Forestiers of the world.
Someone's just commented, actually watching, so this is George. He said he walked into an office one day, never been in there before, and the owner came up and said, I know you, because we've seen his videos. So you don't even have to introduce yourself. They already know a little bit about you. And I know you're really hot on that, Jack, because you quite often share you'll do controversial stuff around video that people have said, like swearing or whatever, because it gets people to know you. And if they don't like the fact, clearly now everyone's heard me swear, if they don't like that, then they're not going to work with me. I don't swear normally in events, guys, I promise.
The thing is, my content, it might be polarizing in the fact that people might not want to work with me for stuff. That's fine, because when we go into that process, they're going to find out that they probably don't like me then, and that's going to be harder for everybody. So yeah, it does qualify. I try not to be too controversial, but there are times where I feel like people are overstepping the mark, and particularly this is for Facebook, not for LinkedIn. It's for my audience, which are on LinkedIn. If not for you, do you mind unliking me and not following my stuff anymore? That's all they need to do. And I remember that post going back last year that I put out, which I'm not going to repeat, was basically saying that everybody that's watching this right now, your video might cause controversy. Just don't listen to anybody. If it's true to you, true to what you believe, and it's true to your audience, on brand, customer focus, put it out there. People are not going to like it, as Andy said. People are not going to like it, but more people will.
I mean, it's one of the questions here is what video content will get you into trouble on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn. I mean, it's the standard. You've got to keep in within the guidelines of their station, of their, they are there. You can go and read all their guidelines. Yeah. But actually, being a little bit controversial, a little bit provocative is a really good way of getting people to engage. Some people will literally do that all their content, isn't it? And that's if you want to work with that kind of person. So go within the bounds of what you agree with and the kind of people you'd like to work with. That's it, isn't it? So that's the advice.
Yeah.
So another question that's coming up, somebody wanted to know, there's obviously people asking about all the detailed geeky stuff, which you kindly are all asking them, so that's really good. Do we think outbound sales then are going to be a thing of the past?
No.
Okay.
I'll go with
Discuss.
that. Yeah, no, I think that, you know, in terms of everything, we can't write anything off. You know, inbound's great, but it's only a piece of the puzzle, you know. To be fair, if I had all the money in the world, I'd hire all these guys to do every element of my business for me, because I know I can't achieve certain things, and that goes with outbound as well. You can't just write it off. But also, talking about warming up leads, you know, there are going to be people that interact that I'm going to want to ring up and, you know, do a bit about outbound marketing, saying, you know, trying to pull people in and offer them businesses. But it's about not, for me, creating content is about not having cold leads. It's about having the warm leads, like walking into an office and somebody recognizing you. So you can actually go into that outbound, you know, with somebody already knowing your services and yourself. So yeah, outbound, go for it.
I'll just add to that, actually, like something I've been doing. So there's this really cool app. It's called Loom, confusingly enough, Loom, and basically uses your webcam to record a little video, but you can use that as part of your outbound sales prospecting. So I've been sending proposal videos to my clients now, because it means I don't have to spend 2 hours writing some horrific document. I can send them a quote from Xero and a video from Loom, and I can have a big click button on that Loom video that says click here to sign your contract. Off we go, and it's been working really well. So yeah, you can use video for that outbound thing. If you want to take it to the next level, you can start going to personality profiling. This is where it gets really cool. And you can use this tool on LinkedIn called Crystal Knows. It will do a disc profile of your prospects. It will look at their page and their profile, and then from that, it will tell you how to communicate with them. So if you use that and a video together, you could actually send individual super targeted videos to people who fit in these different profiles. And, you know, I'm quite visual. I prefer talking to writing. So it suits me, my personality type, quite well to present myself and my business in that manner. But yeah, outbound sales aren't going anywhere at all, but you can use video as part of that proper prospecting.
From the guy who said, oh, I'm not a natural presenter, but you're doing the videos. I love that. Just to say, everyone, I think he may not have closed it yet. Tudor's poll's still up there. He's going to close at any moment if you haven't had a little ticket. Oh, it's done. It's too late. There you go. So it's come up. So people's biggest challenge with video creation is generating the ideas. How interesting. Well, you all need that book that Jack suggested. Are you an affiliate, Jack? Do you get paid for that? Because
yes. So if everybody can click on it, I get £5 from each sale.
Oh,
I wish. I'd be minted. I'm telling everybody.
Oh, I feel like that about so many things I've advised people to do. Yeah. Well, that's really, really interesting. I personally struggle with the tech and the editing side. So generating ideas, come on, guys, you don't even need video for that. That's your business. Just whatever your clients tell you, or whatever your bugbears are, or any of those things. Yeah.
Should I go? Sorry.
Yeah.
I'll jump into this. Sorry, go on, David. All yours, mate.
I was going to say, because I do a LinkedIn live show every couple of weeks, and last week I was talking to a guy called Dan Knowlton that some of you might have seen knocking about on LinkedIn. He runs a marketing company based over in Kent, I think, and he's been speaking at Social Media Marketing World and various different places like that, and they do some really interesting content, and there's a few ideas in that show. If you go back through my LinkedIn feed, or if you go and subscribe on our site, you'll find, in fact, it's actually on our site on Remote Video Team, the show now. He talked through where they get ideas for some of their content for, and it was from TikTok. So he actually jumps platforms to different places, robs ideas off people. Sorry, is inspired by people, and then kind of just and then brings that back onto a platform where people aren't necessarily expecting that.
Yeah,
and
really good.
And that's quite nice, because I think, although we talk about these kind of expert tips and stuff like that, that LinkedIn is changing very quickly. Like 12 months ago that worked. I'm not even sure if it's working as well anymore. Certainly my videos where they're a bit more informational like that aren't getting as good a response as the ones that are maybe a bit more emotive or a bit more personal. And I think that, platforms change. LinkedIn is possibly shifting a little bit like that as well. So looking outside of, the normal kind of what everyone else is doing is important, and getting ideas from other places like that is good as well. Again, it's all part of the experimenting kind of process. So yeah.
You're all gagging to speak there. Andrew, I'll let you in next.
All right, I'll go. So yeah, when you're coming up with ideas, you have your kind of key pillars. So if you come up with 3 different pillars that you like to talk about, so it could be your professional side, your personal side, and what you're passionate about, and then you come up with ideas and content inside of those 3 pillars. So you're talking about different things, you're warming up your audience. I think coming up with videos, it's 70% content ideas, and then actually 30% doing the actual video and the content side of it. And if you get that ratio and you know it, then you could have a list. I have a Monday board where I have all my ideas in there. I'm planning out the next 6 months. What does that look like? Where should I focus? Where do my, I think Nathan said, what are my clients asking about? I know Jack said, what are my clients asking about? What information shall I give over? So when they research you, they've already got that information before they come to you.
Yeah, that's true. And you save yourself all that boring stuff. You know, you can just record it a couple of times and it's done and dusted, and almost send that to them when you first start working with them as well. To like the commonly asked, the facts on a website, all those things are great to put in your content, aren't they? So Jack, what do you do? How do you gather your content ideas? How do you do it? What's your secret?
There's so many ways. So let's get started. So obviously, answering your customers' questions. If you've got frequently asked questions on your website, record them. You can look elsewhere. You can look up your sector, your industry on Twitter, on any of the social media platforms. If there are people asking questions on Twitter, have a problem, be the first to answer that, turn it into content, spread it everywhere. Also, if you look up the most commonly asked questions on YouTube or Google, which, by the way, if you type in your industry, on the first screen on Google or on the first screen on YouTube, you'll get a list of actual questions, top questions that people are asking about your industry. Turn that into content. I mean, I do a lot of this anyway. I'm going to actually plug myself. I do content blast hours with people. If anybody's interested, it's free at the moment.
You know what? Plug yourself, Jack. They've all been doing it. Everyone's been plugging like salesmen.
If you really want loads of content ideas in 1 hour, just come and see me. Put your address in the box, and I'll send you an email. We'll have a chat, and I'll give you loads of content ideas. But honestly, all of those things you can do yourself anyway. So just have a look, and you'll have loads of ideas, and then they'll bring about other ideas as well.
Also, we're coming to this question because it's kind of where we've got to. We're all talking about how you can use how the different platforms are slightly melding a little bit. You know, LinkedIn is becoming much more emotional, and I've certainly found that the engagement when I talk about crises at home or dramas or failing, or people love it. Maybe it's a human nature. Oh, well, let's see somebody else's problems. But that would not have been appropriate on LinkedIn a year ago. I think you would have been told to get off and go to Facebook. So should people make huge amounts of effort to tailor the content to the potential different statistical audiences? I mean, obviously TikTok's different from LinkedIn, but in terms of Facebook for Business, LinkedIn, Twitter, can we just sort of be chucking, I mean, I am, but should we be chucking out the same stuff?
But you say obviously TikTok and LinkedIn are different, but I see loads of TikTok stuff hitting my feed on LinkedIn now. It's all
yes, I know, but they're more fun. TikTok is more fun, isn't it? And prattling about, like Tudor's suggested that we should all be on TikTok, which we could make a really hilarious TikTok video from a The Edge webinar. That would be a real break the internet moment, I don't think. But it is, should we be doing different stuff for every different channel, or can we rehash it and reuse it?
Claire, for me, it's don't worry about the platform, worry about the audience. That's the only thing I'll ever look. It is different. You might have a different demographic of your audience on different platforms, and you might want to tailor it to them. You've got things, but the content you might put on a Instagram story or TikTok might be different to what you put in the Instagram newsfeed. What you put out on LinkedIn is going to be different to what you're going to put out on YouTube, and it all depends on the demographic and people that are watching on those platforms. But I definitely say tailor to your audience. At the end of the day, we're here to make business and sales, unless we want to become, an Instagram model, which I'm not going to do anytime soon. I think maybe hire me. But yeah,
it's no more bizarre than Tudor doing a TikTok video. So don't worry, things could happen. You don't know. So.
Well, we can convince him. He'll be dancing soon. So yeah, for me, that's my opinion. I don't know if anybody else.
Yeah, David, what do you think about that? Being different with all the channels.
I think you can make a differential between YouTube and all the others, because all the others are social channels and YouTube's a search engine. So if you're making content for YouTube, it needs to be search orientated and keyword orientated and all that kind of stuff. The other stuff is very much like just passing content. People are in a feed, they'll kind of engage or not. So it needs to kind of operate in a slightly different way. I think it's, we always try and look at content in terms of funnels, which most people who are involved with sales should kind of understand, or marketing, in that you have a range of content within a funnel. You have stuff at the top, which attracts attention. So that's often the fun stuff, the personal stuff, the stuff that's going to maybe drive a lot of views. But you also want to have some content in there which is going to help convert people who probably are more familiar with you and maybe starting to decide on your services more seriously. That'll get less views. That's okay. But it's if you just have top of funnel content, you don't ever you're in danger of never really letting people know what you do and who you are on a professional level. So, but then the top of funnel stuff is what drives the audience and the audience growth. So you've got to kind of think about things in kind of levels and a bit more strategically, and have a mix in your palette, I think.
Okay, what do you say to this, Nathan? Because you're making a video for different people, and that your offer is about helping them repurpose the same piece of content for different sites. Where do you fall on this?
Yeah, it's interesting what David was saying there about the funnel, and I'm just going to plug myself now because it's allowed. So when I'm doing this offer of the 10 bits of content for 500 quid, we're going to try and do it in such a way so that it is like week by week, you're getting people further down the funnel and kind of eventually bring them to a conversion at the end. But absolutely, I would say repurpose stuff for different channels. And yeah, have a variety. So like, I think the stuff that I can't really add much to what's been said before really, but like Andy was saying, having your 3 pillars of content, that's a fantastic idea. Then it's always going to be kind of on brand, your own personal brand, and on point for your own messaging, and keeping it specific is always important as well. So you're not talking about this thing here one week and then the other week you're over here and people will be like, well, what's going on? So it does require a bit of thought to do it well. But that's what we're here to help with.
So I was wondering with you, Andrew, because on your platform, there's different ways to do your videos and put them out. So you might see that there's certain graphics and things that work better on one platform than another. And because you've got the actual original content there, you can go, oh, this is my Facebook one, this is my YouTube one, this is my Insta one. Is that what you would advise people do?
Yeah, absolutely. We like to think that people can come with their piece of content and they can repurpose it in different ways for potentially different channels. Planning on building a subtitling tool, a framing tool, because that's what really captures people's attention on the platform. So we're trying to keep up to date with what's needed, what people are struggling with, and how to make it really easy and simple for people to make really good eye-catching content, because it's a must nowadays. And yeah, to get us professionals creating videos all the time, that's a hefty budget we need. So people need to do a certain amount themselves. So you want to be able to focus on 90% of your content creation, doing it yourself, getting a simple ring light, doing it through your phone, getting a teleprompter app. If you're not good at speaking off the cuff, you might want to just read it from a script. I know I like to do that. So it's making it simple, making it easy to do, but yeah, make sure you've got your ideas down and you just set aside some time each week to make sure that you put the content out, and then worry about the distribution. The distribution side is the key part, because you can go and spend tens of thousands of pounds on a really professional video, but if you don't send it out to enough of the target audience to get them excited, get those leads off the back, then you all think video doesn't work and you won't give it the time of day again. And typically that's where we've seen lots of clients that we've worked with in my previous role would spend a lot of money on a video, not see any leads, and not come back and repurchase. Whereas those videos can act as your sales team. So going back to your question of, is outbound dead? Outbound's not dead. It's harder because you can't typically find the phone numbers of people because they're not at the offices anymore. They're all remote. But you could use video to really make yourselves more productive. So if you do 100 cold calls in a day, you can expect to do 7 decent conversations and potentially get 3 leads and 1 to proposal. You do that 5 days of the week, you can potentially hit your sales targets. If you look at it from a video perspective, 1,000 impressions costs you between 10 and 25 pounds, depending on what channel you're on. So that's 1,000 times that your video's been placed out there. If you can do 1,000 cold calls in a day, then kudos to you. But I think that get video out there and making sure that you collect the leads off the back of that, that's going to make it more effective.
Thank you. That's really, really good way of explaining it as well, Andrew. Thank you. Listen, guys, we're nearly at the end, so I thought I might just go round and get from all of you just, your one thing. I know we've been saying it, we're telling everyone video's awesome, but the one thing, if you could say to somebody now who's like, I haven't started, I don't know what to do, where to start, your best bit of advice. I'll go around, we're going to get Tudor's advice too. No, Your best bit of advice about video, Nathan?
Start with why. Why do you want to do it? There you go. That's simple.
That's good. Yeah, no, that's good. Jack?
Yeah, basically, you're going to film yourself. You're going to hate what you look like. You're going to worry about you sort of umming and ahhing, and you're going to want to turn off and never do it again. All right, never even post it anywhere. Don't. All right, either get professional advice, or if you think you've got from A to B and got your message across, even if your hair is out of place, just put it out there, because you're going to get better and you're going to be brilliant.
Andrew?
Record everything. You don't have to post it. You don't know what you're going to capture on a day. You could have a bank full of content. You don't know whether you're going to use that content in 6 months' time. But if you haven't got the content, you might struggle. So record everything.
David?
Outsource it. No, I mean, seriously though, if it gets you off the mark, even to create your own stuff in the future, sometimes just forcing yourself into it, putting yourself into a position where you've kind of committed, you work with a freelancer or you work with a video company just to do that first batch, then you're kind of tied into it. You've put a financial commitment into it. People are going to turn up, they're going to arrive, you're going to have to do stuff, and then you're going to have something and it's going to be done.
That is totally what I did, to be fair. That's exactly how I got into it.
Because it's really easy to procrastinate, you know.
Because it was just, I got a professional person to film me, cost a blooming fortune, and took all day, and I've got the stuff and it's great, and it was meant I had stuff on my website, but I thought I can't do that. So you'd learn sneakily stuff I'd learned from him, but yeah, it's true, it's the way through. I think what we've all gathered probably, and Tudor as well, and we got this in the previous call, is that if you're not using video, why not? Because this is crazy. This is the perfect time to do it. I mean, the facts and the figures, which we talked about less in this one, but we did in the past one, the impact of video and how powerful it is as a marketing tool is just, you'd be crazy to ignore it. Tudor, what do you say?
Oh, sorry, were you waiting for me then? I was trying to... I've had a few people text saying it's such a good event, such a good webinar, so I've got a bit mistracked then. But
do you know what? Phil and Holly don't have anything to worry about losing their jobs, do they? With you?
No, I think... What's that phrase? Winging it. But sorry, what were you saying then?
Well, I was just saying, you know, you got this in the last ones where we did this one on video. It's just a no-brainer. You've got to be doing it. Video.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. I think, and this has come up pretty much since we started doing these events 3 months ago. It's taken us a while to adopt onto our own video webinar. But it just seems to be that I think now, particularly with lockdown, and people are, I don't know, maybe they've kind of just relaxed a little bit more and feeling a bit more, you know, I'll just give it a go. I'll just give it a go and give it a try. Because I was always reluctant. Somebody was going on to me. I used a social media company years ago. Okay, you've got to do video. You've got to do video. And I'm like, I don't want to do it. I'm really unphotogenic, and I'm terrible in front of it. But you've just got to give it. You've just got to do it, haven't you? And so what?
Right.
But there's some brilliant tips from today. It's been amazing. And people, like I say, people texting me and messaging me through LinkedIn and say, there's some great... I've got a massive list of technology to check out later on.
Yeah. And there's a lot of tech. It's an amazing time. I mean, we've got to go now, but guys, there is so much tech out there. It's incredible. And the options for, you know, and everyone I've been talking to today, I did another event about hosting, about events and the future of events. And video is the way forward for so many things. It's the way we're going to go. So just go out, try it all out, check out all the tech, see what there is. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us. I know there'll be another great seminar in a couple of weeks' time, another great webinar that Tudor will be promoting with video on LinkedIn.
We will be promoting it with video, of course. And yes, the recording will be available. We're going to send you the recording and details of our amazing panelists. And I'm sure the panelists are going to have a few offers to share with our people as well, aren't they? So let us know, guys, and then we'll put that on our email to the later. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining in. A really good session today. I really enjoyed that. It was fantastic.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.
See you later.
Soon.